Hallelujah. Welcome back to the exciting book of Genesis. And this is such an exciting book. Can't say the same about this chapter, but but it is an exciting book. We're gonna we as some of you noticed before we went, Yeshua's kids, we figured we'll spare them from this chapter. You know,
That's love.
right? Your love is as love does, right? We're in Genesis chapter 10, and I'm gonna pretty much read through it so that for the sake of time and effort, because it's just a plethora of names, and most people, that's where they stumble at. So, Genesis 10, 1 through 3, and it reads, it says, "Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood, the son of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Yavan, and Tubal, and Mashech, and Tiras." And just taking a look at what these names mean, went through them all and defined them. Sometimes when we do that, we find that there's actually a message within the meaning of the names. Not so this time, but you never know after you define them. And so I took the liberty of defining them. And we have Gomer, which speaks to being complete or finished or perfect. We have Magog, speaking to overtopping or being a covering or a roof. We have Madai, which speaks to middle land or my measures, my garments, what is enough. We have Yavan, speaking to the effervescing one, the mired or deceiver, one who makes sad. We have Tubal, which speaks to thou shalt be brought. And we have Meshach, which speaks to a drawing or a drawing out. We have Tiras, speaking to he crushed the search. Yeah. Or desire. Then we have in verse 3, we have Genesis 10:3 that says, "And the sons of Gomer was Ashkenaz and Riphtah and Togarmah." And Ashkenaz speaks to a man as sprinkled or fire as scattered or spreading, and we have Riphtah, which speaks to slander or fault or spoken or remedy or medicine. And we have Togarmah, which speaks to thou will break her or a tribe. And it's just interesting to note, we have a large sect of the Orthodox Yahudim today, actually comes from the family line of Ashkenaz, in which they're called Ashkenazi Jews, and as you can see, their lineage goes back to the sons of Japheth, not the sons of Shem, and they became Yahudim via being proselytized, being conquered and proselytized into the Yahudim, or into Judaism, if you would. And so here it is, we see, their forefather, Ashkenaz. Verses 4 through 6 goes on to say, "And the sons of Yavan were Elisha, and Tarshish, and Kitum, and Dodanim." And Elisha means my El has disregarded. El is salvation. El is the coming one. Tarshish speaks to she will cause poverty. She will shatter. Katim, bruisers, beaters down, crushers. You don't want to run into them in the dark alley. Who are you? I'm Katim. I'm the bruiser, the one who beat folks down and crush them. Okay. Dodanim speaks to their loves or leaders. And then verses 5 and 6 goes on to say, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. And the sons of Ham was Cush and Mizraim and Phut and Canaan. And we have Cush, which speaks to black or blackness, Mizraim, double straits, Phut, a bow, Canaan, humble, brought low or flat. Verses 7 through 9. And the sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ra'amah, Sabteka, and the sons of Ra'amah, Sheba, and Dedan. Verses 8 and 9. And Cush begot Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. And we have verse 9, and he was a mighty hunter before Yahuwah, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahuwah. Okay, now we have Seba, which can speak to drink thou, and Havilah, circle or circular. Sabta, he compassed the mark. Ra'amah, thunder or horse's mane. Sabteka, striking. Sheba, seven or oath. And then in verse 8 where it speaks of Nimrod, Nimrod means to be valiant, also means rebellion. So he was a valiant, rebellious one. You know, it says that he began to be a mighty one in the earth. This word mighty one is Gibor, number 1368, which means strong or mighty. And it says that he was a hunter before Yahuwah. Now, it says this actually twice. I want you to know that this word before is actually paneh in the Hebrew, number 6440, which speaks to face, one's face, and it can have multiple meanings, but one of the meanings is against, you know, and I think this passage would be better translated as against, for he was a mighty hunter against Yahuwah. Wherefore it says, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter against Yahuwah. You know, now he was very notable in as much as you see he sticks out like a sore thumb here. You know, you're just going through the sons of Cush, and then all of a sudden Cush begot Nimrod, and he became this mighty one. You know, this valiant rebeller, if you would. You know, that went through the earth, and you know, and what did he do? Let's see. It says in the beginning of his kingdom was Babel. We all heard about Babel from as in Babylon, right? You know, and Eric and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar. In verse 11, out of that land went forth Ashur and builded Nineveh and the city Rehoboth and Calah. Now we have Babel, which as y'all probably already know means confusion. We have Erech, speaking to length or long. We have Akkad, who speaks to only a picture of subtle or to strengthen. Calneh, the well is complete fortress of the goddess Anu. Anu was a fertility goddess. We have Shinar, which speaks to a country of two rivers. We have Ashur, which speaks to a step or change of the city to be straight or successful. We have Nineveh, which speaks to the offspring of ease or the offspring of abiding. Also to the abode of Ninus. And Ninus was believed to be one of the names for Nimrod. We also have Rehoboth, which speaks to streets or room or broad space or broad streets or wide streets. And we have Calah, which speaks to that which is favorable or an opportunity. Okay? Now, verses 12 through 14 goes on to say, and resident between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. Resident speaks to bridal. And then verses 13 and 14, and Mizraim begot Ludim and Anamim and Lehabim and Naphtuhim, and verse 14, and Pathruzim and Casluhim, out of whom came the Philistines. And see, remember the Philistines in Scripture, this is where they come from. You know, and Caphtorim, you know, looking at these names, Ludim speaks to the firebrands or travailing strife. Anamim, affliction or answers of the waters. Lahabim, flames or fiery. Naphtuhim, openings. Pathruism, a morsel moistened or a mouth full of dough. We have Casluhim, which which speaks to hopes of life, fortified as forgiven ones. We have Caphtorim, which speaks to as M to interpret. Not, he bowed down to spy out. All right, moving right along. Verses 15 through 18. And Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth. And verse 16 through 18. And the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Arkite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zamarite, and the Hamathite. And afterwards were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. All right. So we have Sidon, speaking to catching or hunting or fishing. We have Heth, which speaks to terror. Jebusite, which speaks to a threshing place. Amorite, the dweller on the summits. Girgasite, dwelling on clayey soil, a stranger drawing near. Hivites, showers of life. Livers, villagers. Arkite, my gnawing. Sinite, sin or thorn or clay. All right. Verses 19 through 21, and the border of the Canaanites were from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar, and unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom, and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zoboim, even unto Lasha. And verses 20 and 21, and these are the sons of Ham after their families, after their tongues, and in their countries, and in their nations, unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born. So we have Gerar, speaking to lodging place or dragging away or ruminating or sojourning. We have Gaza, which speaks to she was strong, and strong or fortified. Sodom, scorched, burnt, burning, fettered. You know, almost seemed like they were destined to become scorched. Gomorrah, bondage or ruined, heat, submersion. Admah, earthy fortress, red earth. Zeboim, gazelles or troops. Lasha, to break through, fissure unto blindness. Okay. Verses 22 through 24. The children of Shem was Elam, and Ashur, and Arphax, and Lud, and Aram, and Uz. And verse 23. And the children of Aram, Uz, and Hol, and Gether, and Mash. And verse 24. And Arphax begot Salah, and Salah begot Eber. All right. Elam speaks to eternity, or their heaps suckling them, hidden, or that should be distance. And Ashur speaks to be straight, successful, a step, or a change of city. Arphax, stronghold of the Chaldees, or I shall fail as the breast. He cursed the breast, bottle. Lud, strife, to the firebrand, travailing. Aram, exalted, high, or high tableland. And then we have Uz, who speaks to counsel, console, wooded. We have Hol, speaks to circle or to have pain. The veil or valley of trial or searching or fear. And then we have Mash, who speaks to he departed, he felt or drowned out. We have Salah, which speaks to a sprouted missile as sent forth, or Eber, that speaks to the region beyond or region of cross. Verses 25 through 27. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Yoktan. And Yoktan begot Almodad, and Shelef, and Hazar Mabeth, and Yara, and Hadaram, and Uzal, and Dikla. Okay, Peleg speaks to earthquake. Yoktan speaks to he will be made little, or he will be made small, or smallness. And we have Almodad, which speaks to not measured. Shelef, a drawing forth. Extract. Hazar Ma'beth, enclosure of death, or village of death. Don't want to live there. We have Yerah, which speaks to lunar. Yerah speaks to lunar, or new moon, the moon. Then we have Hadaram, which speaks to a noble honor, or their honor. Uzal, I shall be flooded, or separate. Dikla speaks to a palm grove. Okay. verses 28 through 31. And Obal and Abimael and Sheba, and verse 29 through 31, and Ophir and Havilah and Jobab, all these were the sons of Yoktan, and their dwelling was from Meshah, as thou goest unto the Sephar, a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in the lands, after their nations. And we have Obal, or Obal, speaking to strip bare or heaping confusion. We have Abimael, which speaks to my father is El, or father of Mael. We have Sheba, which again speaks to seven or oath. We have Ophir, which speaks to reducing to ashes, abundance. Havilah, anguish, as travail, pain, or circle. Yobab speaks to a desert. Meshach speaks to freedom. And that's pretty much it. Well, thank you all for coming. God bless you. Good night. No. Oh, my goodness. We're going to have to take... All right, we're going to talk about King Nimrod of Shinar. Mostly we're going to talk about kings, you know, but there's not a whole lot in Scripture about King Nimrod. There's a lot of folklore, and there's a lot of legend, and there's a lot of supposition, and so on and so forth. But, you know, we're not here to learn all that. We're here to learn Scripture. Amen? You know, and so seeing that there isn't a lot in Scripture concerning my man, you know, we're not going to dig off that far into him, you know, but we are going to acknowledge that he was the first king, you know, after the flood. You know, after the deluge that Yah sent upon the earth, Nimrod became the first king. We hear of his kingdom. It says kingdom began with Babel, you know, and we even see in Revelations, you know, at the end, you know, that remnants of Babylon will still be around. Amen? Amen. You know, so he started something, you know, that just don't want to quit. You know, and what it is, you know, what we can gather from the scriptures is some type of rebellion, you know, towards Yah. You know, where he was a mighty warrior. You know, where it says mighty hunter, that word hunter can also mean warrior. You know, and so, you know, maybe he was the first one to go beating up on folks, you know, and start, you know, forcing his will upon them, so to speak. You know, but anywho, he was a king. He was the first king after the deluge. You know, and so I want to speak to kings, you know, in and of themselves. You know, kings in and of themselves, or leaders in and of themselves, if you would. You know, especially concerning Yah's people. You know, because we know the world gonna always do what the world gonna do, right? Right. You know, so let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 8. Let me have my first reader read 1 Samuel chapter 8. I want you to read verses 4 through 6 and then drop down to verses 10 through 14, please.
Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto Yahuwah. And Samuel told all the words of Yahuwah unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, did you say just go to 8 and 10?
Yeah, then go 10 to 14.
Okay, and Samuel told all the words of Yahuwah unto the people that asked of him a king. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants.
Thank you. All right, so here it is. We see this is Israel. This is the account of Israel when they start asking. They start feeling like they wanted a king.
Yeah.
You know. See now, we spoke about Nimrod being the first king. You know, and what I come here for is to show you, you know, because this speaks to Israel's first king. Okay, you know, so we you know, we're looking at, you know, the world's first king. You know, after the delusion. Now we're going to look at how Israel's first king came about. You know, first and foremost, you know, what I want you to gather from this is that, you know, this king thing was not what Yah had in mind. You know, Nimrod started something that, you know, that was not the plan of Yahuwah. You know, this was not the plan of Yahuwah. This is not what he wanted. This is not what he initiated, okay? You know, now, here it is. We see in verses 4 through 6, it says, Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah. Okay, now Samuel, his name means one hearing of Elohim. So we have all the elders of Israel. Israel are the believers, amen. So we have a picture of the believers going to the one who's hearing of Elohim, who Yah has put over them. Okay, so this Yah has put one over them that is hearing of Elohim. And so the elders get together and they go to this one that's hearing of Elohim that Yah has rose and put over them. And they're saying, you know, hey, you know, nothing against you, but you old, man. Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. You know, see, now, what we see here is that they want to be like everyone else. See, even though Yah called us to be a peculiar people, they don't want to be peculiar. See, but I got news for you. It wasn't just them. You know, it's a whole lot of us that don't want to be peculiar people. Oh, yeah, we like to quote the verse, you know, but when it comes to truly being peculiar, we don't want it. You know, when it comes to really being set apart from the rest, you know, we run. You know, we duck. We hide. You know, but, you know, this is what was going on here. You know, they were coming to the one that was hearing of Elohim, and then they're like, okay, buddy, you're getting pretty old. Just your sons aren't like you. You know, we need you to make us a king. You know, but the thing displeased Samuel. It displeased the one who was hearing from Elohim. You know, that they said, give us a king to judge us. For one, you know, he was still judging them, and he wasn't even dead yet. You know, he's like, well, so what you saying? You know, you know, you just firing me like this? You know, but yeah, that's what was happening. You know, so here it is. We have Samuel. He goes and tells all the words to Yah. He goes and tells them what the people said. You know, and Yah told him to warn the people of what they're asking for. You know, warn them on the consequences of this decision that they're making. Okay? And so in verses 11, in verse 11, he says he will, speaking of the king that they want to have over, he said he will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots to be his horsemen. The sons shall run before his chariots. He says in verse 12, and he'll set them to ear his ground and to reap his harvest and to make his instruments of war and instruments of his chariots. But he's not going to stop there. It says in verse 13 and 14, it says he will take your daughters to be confectionaries and to be cooks and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards and even the best of them. No, he's not going to take the worst. He wants the best. He's going to take the best of them. And guess what? He's going to give them to his servants. Now, what does this sound like? Just reading about this thing that's going to happen. What does this sound like? Besides our government, you know, is this reminiscent of slavery?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you have someone who's taking your sons, appointing them for themselves, having them do his bidding. You know, having them fight his battles. You know, taking your daughters. You know, taking your fields, taking whatever is the best you have. You know, doesn't that sound like bondage, tyranny? You know, see, this is what you get when you ask for a king. See, I want you to understand this, see, because, you know, it's from this passage hereby that we learn that Israel want to be like other nations. See, Yah had made them Kodesh, set apart, or Kadosh if you prefer, but he made them set apart, okay? You know, they were set apart from the other nations. There was not another nation that was like Israel.
That's right.
Not on the whole planet. See, but I got news for you. Yah still wants a nation that's not like any other nation in the world. He still wants a nation that's peculiar. He still wants a nation that's set apart.
Yes, he do.
See, but it's, you know, you gotta, you know, you can't be no coward to be set apart. You know, you have to be pretty brave, you know, to stand apart from everybody else. You know, anybody can go with the flow, amen? You know, but that one that's standing against the flow, you know, either Yah gonna hold him up or he gonna get ran down. Amen? You know, but we're trusting in Yah. So, you know, and even though everyone tried to run down Israel, Yah held him up, did he not? You know, he showed himself mighty. He showed himself capable of being their elf. You know, but now, here it is, they're saying, give us a king. We want to be like the other nations. You know, Israel wanted a king to judge them rather than the system that Yah initiated. See, it's not as if they didn't have a judge. It's not as if they didn't have judgment, and they didn't have, you know, a system of judgment, I should say, within the nation of Israel. You know, it's not that they didn't, because we have it in Scripture. You know, here's an excerpt that gives us a show of some of it. You know, let me have my next reader read Deuteronomy 17, 6 through 11. Verses 6 through 11, please.
At the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death. But at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death. The hands of the witnesses shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hands of all the people. So thou shalt put the evil away from among you. If there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within thy gates, then shalt thou arise and get thee up into the place which Yahuwah thy Elohim shall choose. And thou shalt come unto the priests, the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of judgment. And thou shalt do according to the sentence which they of that place which Yahuwah shall choose shall shew thee, and thou shalt observe to do according to all that they inform thee, according to the sentence of the law which they shall teach thee, and according to the judgment which they shall teach thee, thou shalt do. Thou shalt not decline from the sentence which they shall shew thee to the right hand, nor to the left.
Okay, thank you. So here it is. We see, you know, a bit of the system that Yah initiated. You know, first of all, he wanted every matter to be established, you know, by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. You know, he didn't want any one witness condemning to anyone to death. You know, but, you know, generally speaking, kings answer to no one. You know, but this wasn't Yah's intent. You know, here it is. Generally speaking, you know, the king, you know, if he got a problem with you, you know, he just gives the order off with your head, you know, and pretty much your head coming off. You know, that's kind of how that worked, right? You know, but this is not what Yah had in mind. You know, he says, you know, at the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death. You know, not just because, you know, this guy, you know, waves his wand or something, you know, or, you know, you walked in while he was talking, you know, or something to that effect. And then also, check this out, because this is very noteworthy. It says, the hands of the witnesses shall be first upon him to put him to death. You know, now this is a wonderful safeguard, you know, because here it is, you know, you may get somebody to lie, you know, on your behalf, you know, but first of all, you got to get more than one person to lie. And second of all, you know, if you're following Yah's way, you know, then you also, they have to not only be willing to lie, but they also have to be willing to murder. Because they're to be the first ones to put their hands on them. You know, when it comes to putting them to death, the witnesses are the ones, they're to be the first upon him to put him to death. You know, so here it is now, you know, how difficult do you think it may be to get not 1, but 2 or 3 people to actually testify against someone falsely and to actually murder them? You know, that's a much more difficult task. You know, you may be able to get one to go along with you, but two or three, you know, to something to that extent, I would, you know, see that as being something that was very difficult to do, you know, to say the least. We see even when they was bringing witnesses against the Messiah, they had a hard time, you know, and you know, they couldn't really get nothing to really that was significant, you know, so they just, you know, overlooked that little detail and, you know, and well, you heard him, you know, let's just kill him, you know, get this over with, you know, but Yah's system of judgment was just, and that's what I want to point out. You know, it wasn't meant that one man would have that type of authority over Yah's people. You know, maybe in the world, you know, but not, this was not the intent for Yah's people. You know, now, it says if there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy which within thy gates. You know, now I want you to understand that, you know, in ancient times, when they had an issue, they would take it to the gates of the cities. And the gates would be where the elders would sit and judge the cases. Now, what he's saying is if there was a case that was too difficult for the elders, then he had a backup system. You know, it's not, you know, that wasn't it and that wasn't all. It says, in verse 9, it says, and thou shalt come unto the priests, the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of judgment. Verse 11 says, according to the sentence of the Torah, which they shall teach thee. So you see, Yah's Torah, his teachings and instructions, his law was to be over his nation. You know, and everything was supposed to be in accordance to his Torah or to his law. Now, and it would be up to the priest for you to go to the priest for them to sort this thing out, because that was their job. But it wasn't just the priest alone, but also unto the judge that shall be in those days. See, and a lot of people, you know, don't acknowledge this part of Yah's system. You know, but he didn't just have the priests, but he also had the judges. Now, who were the judges? Now, we read the book of Judges, and we read about, you know, all these judges that popped up, in which Samuel was the last one. He was the very last judge. You know, they were given, you know, they basically told him, you know, yeah, you was cool and everything, but we don't want no more judges. We want a king. You know, see, you know, Yah will raise up a judge when they would begin to become, you know, repentful and, you know, and get their act together. Yah would send them a judge. You know, and the judge was to work with the priest, you know, in judging over the nation. See, Yah had a system already in place. You know, and it was a very good system.
Yes, it was.
You know, but they wanted a king. You know, and so now we have to have a king. So, you know, there was not going to be no guy that could overcome what's the word I'm looking for? The temptation of kingship. You know, so, you know, he had to send his son. You know, he had to send someone that was perfect in order to do it.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
You know, and so that's what transpired. You know, so when we look at number 16, 12 through 15, you know, it speaks to, you know, how the system worked and how it happened. You know, it was never Yah's intent, you know, for them to have a king. And, you know, and some people, you know, like to say, well, you know, Moshe was a king, you know, over Israel, but he was not. And he resented, you know, being called a ruler over Israel, because he surely recognized who the true ruler was. And it wasn't him. You know, it was Yah.
Yes.
Hence we see in number 16, 12 through 15, it says, and Moshe sent to Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, which said, we will not come up. And then, you know, they said, this is a small thing that thou hast brought us up out of the land, out of the land that floweth with milk and honey, to kill us in the wilderness, except thou make thyself altogether a prince over us, a ruler over us. And moreover, thou hast not brought us into a land that floweth with milk and honey, or given us inheritance of the fields and vineyards. Wilt thou put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up. Now remember what we was talking about earlier about being patient and waiting? You know, see now they truly were going into the promised land, but you know, some of them not gonna make it now because they begin to complain. Remember what I was saying about that? You know, verse 15 it says, and Moshe was very wroth and said unto Yahuwah, respect not thou their offering. I have not taken one behind from them, neither have I hurt one of them. You know, see, this is something that kings would do. You know, as we already read about what the king would do, the king takes stuff. He take what he want. You know, he hurt who he like. Whoever gets in his way. This is the king's way. You know, and also, you know, Samuel, he also wasn't a king. You know, he was a judge that Yah had rose up. And there's a difference between a judge and a king. You know, a judge is put in place to judge the matters in accordance to Yah's word. A king is put in place to reign as he or she feels fit, sees fit rather. You know, yeah, they should acknowledge Yah's word, but if they're an unrighteous king, then what they gonna do? They gonna act unrighteously. Amen. You know, and we've seen, you know, through the account of the kings, we've seen various of them that just did just that. You know, the mass majority of them did just that. Acted unrighteously. Amen? Okay, so here it is. Samuel says, and Samuel said unto all Israel, behold, I have hearkened unto your voice and all that ye said unto me, and have made a king over you. And now, behold, the king walketh before you. I am old and gray-headed, and behold, my sons are with you, and I have walked before you from my childhood unto this day. Behold, here I am, witness against me before Yahuwah and before his anointed. Whose ox have I taken? Or whose behind have I taken? Or whom have I defrauded? Whom have I oppressed? Of whose hand have I received any bribe to blind mine eyes therewith? And I will restore it to you. You know, see, he's saying this, you know, he's putting this out there like that because they just fired him, for one. You know, and he wanted to, you know, make certain that it's not because of anything he did. It's not because he was unjust. It's not because he wasn't a good judge. It was because of the intent of their heart. And verse 4, and they said, thou hast not defrauded us, nor oppressed us, neither hast thou taken aught of any man's hand. You know, see, so both of these guys took exception to being called the ruler of Yah's people. You know, neither one of them was. Even though they was in a leadership position, they were not reigning over the people. They were simply judges. Moshe was the first judge, and Samuel was the last. You know, because the people asked for a king. And a king is not something that Yah wanted for his people. A king is not something that Yah ever wanted for his people. It's something that the people wanted for themselves. You know, I think it's against our fleshly nature to go against the grain of mankind. I perceive that there's something innate that makes us want to be accepted or even just be with the majority, even in times when we know or believe they're wrong. You know, we still, you know, want to just go along and get along. You know, look at Aaron. You know, he knew what he was doing was wrong, but he just, you know, couldn't stand up against, you know, be the one that's going to be different. Be the one that say no. Be the one that, you know, that stand for Yah. See, and partly, you know, it's because of man's fear of man. It's not man's fear of Hasatan, it's of man's fear of man. See, because when you truly believe that Yah is able to keep you, even in the face of unruly men, you know, then you don't have anything to worry about, right? Now, even if everybody's saying yes and you say no because that's what Yah say, and you trust in Yah, you trust in Yah to have your back. So it's a world against you and Yah. You know, this is what we see with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Everyone else said, no, we're gonna worship the image. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said, no, you know, we're not doing it. We're not doing it, you know. And, you know, yes, we believe that our El is able to save us. And even if he don't, we still not doing it. See, that's the type that y'all looking for. Them the type that y'all looking for. And so, you know, they say, hey, okay, well, you know, have it your way. And they threw him in the fiery furnace. But yet they walked out. See, because they stood for Yah and Yah stood for them. Same thing with Daniel getting thrown into the lion's den. Same thing. You know, see, but there's something that's in our fleshly nature that makes us want to go along with the crowd. That makes us want to just submit to what everyone else is doing. Right. See, but Yah is looking for a nation of people that will stand for him and him only. Yes, indeed. He's looking for a nation of people, or peculiar people, that will just stand on his word and follow his way, irregardless of what the rest of the world is doing. You're going to look crazy. That's what he's looking for. You're going to look foolish. That's what he's looking for. You're going to look like you are. Yeah, that's what he's looking for. Don't you know that every nation in the world that was watching Israel come out of Mitzrayim into the wilderness thought they were nuts? They're out there in the wilderness for 40 years. They're like, surely they're all going to die. No one can survive out there. But yet they didn't. Oh, this is what Yah's looking for. He's looking for those who will stand. Let me have my next reader read 1 Samuel 8, 4 through 6 again, and verses 19 through 22, please.
Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said to him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto Yahuwah. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, Nay, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Samuel, Hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, Go ye every man unto his city.
Okay, so again, even though Yah and Samuel forewarned them of the consequences of their request, they still insisted on being like the other nations of the world. There's many of us, you know, in this room today that still insist on being like the other peoples of the world. You know, you know what Yah says. You know what he says do. You know what he requires of thee. You know, but some of us still insist on being like the world. We still want to be like everyone else. Well, some of us aren't called to be like everyone else. Some of us are called to be different. Some of us are called to be set apart unto Yah. Some of us are called to serve him. You know, when he brought Israel out of Mitzrayim, he didn't bring them out so that they can be free and do their own thing. He brought them out that they might serve him. Don't get this thing twisted. You'll never be free. You just get to choose who your master will be. You know, you can choose Yah or you can choose the other guy. You know, I suggest that you choose Yah, even though mostly everyone else has chosen the other guy. So in choosing Yah, you're going to be peculiar. You're going to look strange. People are going to think that you're weird. People are going to think something wrong with you. People are going to think, you know, that you off your rocker, that you're a bit touched. See, but that's how it's supposed to be. You can't be like everybody else and not be like everybody else at the same time. Either you're going to be like Yah, who is like no one else, or you're going to be like everyone else. It's not really hard, is it? You know, so here it is. they say, you know, we want a king over us. You know, we want to be like everybody else. So Yah says, give them a king. Let them be like everyone else. That's what they want. Let me have my next reader read 1 Samuel 8, 7 and 8, and then drop down to chapter 10, verses 17 through 21, please.
And Yahuwah said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people and all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them, according to all thy works that they have done since the day that I brought them out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods. So do they also unto thee. And Samuel called the people together unto Yahuwah to Mizpeh, and said unto the children of Israel, Thus said Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, I brought up Israel out of Egypt, and delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hands of all kingdoms, and of them that oppressed you. And ye have this day rejected your Elohim, who himself saved you out of all of your adversities and your tribulations. And ye have said unto him, Nay, but set a king over us. Now therefore present yourself before Yahuwah by your tribes and by your thousands. And when Samuel had caused all the tribes of Israel to come near, the tribe of Benjamin was taken. When he had caused the tribe of Benjamin to come near by their families, the family of Matri was taken, and Saul, the son of Kish, was taken. And they sought him. He could not be found.
Okay. You know, here it is, you know, they asked Samuel to make him king, and Yahuwah told Samuel, hearken unto the voice of the people. You know, and this is the reality of the situation. When you want someone to rule over you other than Yah. This is the reality of the situation. He says, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. See, when you do things Yah's way, Yah is ruling over you. But when you do things your way, the other guy is ruling over you. He said in verse 8, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. See, now I want you to understand, you know, this word gods is Elohim, number 430 in the Strong's. And it means judges or rulers. You know, so he's saying, you know, ye have served other judges, other rulers. You know, and what Yah was doing was comforting Samuel. He says, according to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Mizraim, even unto this day. It's not nothing new. Wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so they also unto thee. They're doing the same thing to Samuel. They're saying, Samuel, we don't want you to judge over us anymore. We want a king. You know, so just as they forsook Yah, now they're forsaking Samuel. You know, the judges aren't good enough for them anymore. You know, now the judges aren't good enough anymore. Now they want a king. They want to be like everyone else. They want to serve other rulers. You know, so, you know, Yah is just comforting Samuel and letting them know, hey, you know, same thing they done to me, they doing to you. Don't feel bad. They not rejecting you. They rejecting me. And also in 1 Samuel 10 and 18, it says, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, I brought you up, Israel, out of Mizraim, and delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all kingdoms, and of them that oppressed you, and ye have this day rejected your Elohim. You himself, who himself saved you out of all your adversities and your tribulations, ye have said unto him, nay, but set a king over us. You don't never want to reject Yah for man. Amen? You know, so, you know, you have to understand, you know, Yah raises his judges up. to be over his people. You know, they're not appointed, you know, by lineage as a monarchy. You know, that's not the way he intended. You know, and it's much like that even now, you know, if you can see the parallel of the times that we're living in. Yah has been raising up judges. You know, but the last judge will be, even as Samuel, he'll be one that's hearing of Elohim. You know, and then we'll get our king that we've been asking for, even Yahshua. Amen. You know, so that time is coming. But in the meantime and in between time, you know, accept the judges that Yah raises up over his people and stop asking for a king. When he's ready for you to have a king, guess what? He'll give you a king. You know, in 1 Samuel 12, 9 through 15, we read, and when they forgot Yahuwah their Elohim, he sold them into the hand of Sisera, captain of the host of Hazor, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the king of Moab, and they fought against them. And they cried unto Yahuwah. Who they cried to? They cried unto Yahuwah and said, we have sinned because we have forsaken Yahuwah and have served Baalim and Ashtoreth. But now deliver us out of the hand of our enemies, and we will serve thee. You see, you know, they tried to have other rulers over them previously. They tried this previously, and Yah hearkened unto them. It says in verse 11, and Yahuwah sent Yerubbabel, and Badan, and Yetha, and Samuel. These are the judges that Yah sent. You know, and delivered you out of the hand of your enemies on every side. And ye dwelt safe. And when ye saw that Nakash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, ye said unto me, nay, but a king shall reign over us. When Yahuwah your Elohim was your king. Who's your king right now? You know, Yah should be our king right now. He should be our king right now. When you got a problem, you know, who do you cry out for? You're not writing letters to Obama? You sure? You're not writing letters to Congress, to the governor, Snooker or Snyder? You know, are you sure? It says, verse 13, now therefore behold the king whom ye have chosen and whom ye have desired. Yah is just giving us what we asked for. And behold, Yahuwah hath set a king over you, and ye will fear Yahuwah and serve him. And if ye will fear Yahuwah and serve him and obey his voice and not rebel against the commandment of Yahuwah, then shall both ye also, the king that reigneth over you, continue following Yahuwah your Elohim. First you was only accountable for your own actions. Now you got to worry about what this clown doing. Can you see that? But if ye will not obey the voice of Yahuwah, but rebel against the commandment of Yahuwah, then shall the hand of Yahuwah be against you as it was against your fathers. See, it's very important to note that when one is in good standing with Yah, he will allow them to have the desires of their hearts if they insist. I hope you caught that. He'll allow you to have the desires of your heart, even if they're not in your best interest, if you insist. If you insist on, on having something that's not good for you, he'll allow you to have. Just as Israel insisted on Yah not speaking to them directly. When he came down on Mount Sinai, he began to speak to them. And they said, enough. No, Moshe. No, don't have him say another word. You go up there and talk to him, and you come back and tell us. Don't have him say nothing else to us. They insisted on that, did they not? And it wasn't to their betterment. But Yah, he hearkened unto their desire. Even as Sarah insisted on having a child, she insisted on having a child through Hagar. Yah had told Abraham and Sarah that they was going to have a child. You know, and you know, some of us get impatient and we get tired of, you know, hurrying up and waiting, you know, and so, you know, they wanted to help y'all out. You know, give him a little hand. He must have meant it this way. Had to be. I'm beyond childbearing age, so he obviously, it's a no-brainer, Abraham. He obviously wants you to get with Hagar so we can have a kid. No, that wasn't y'all plan. You know, but he, because they insisted on it, you know, he allowed it to happen. You know, David insisted on having Bathsheba, even though when he asked about it, they told her that she's another man's wife. But did he let that stop him? No, he insisted. You know, and because of him insisting upon that, you know, people lost their lives. You know, Yah will allow you, you know, if you're in good standing with him and you insist on something, even if it's not in your best interest, he'll allow you to have it. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you have to really be careful with that. You know, 1 Samuel 12:16-22. Now therefore stand and see this great thing. This is after they don't receive the king. You know, Samuel tells them, you know, now therefore stand and see this great thing which Yahuwah will do before your eyes. Is it not wheat harvest today? I will call unto Yahuwah, and he shall send thunder and rain, that ye may perceive and see that your wickedness is great, which ye have done in the sight of Yahuwah in asking you a king. See, that wasn't no good thing. You know, what was the miracle about, you know, it raining during the wheat harvest? That was something that just didn't happen. That was something that just didn't happen. So it was perceived as a miraculous event, because during those months of when the wheat harvest was, it was not the rainy season. You know, and it would hardly ever rain. It would just be just the opposite. You know, so it was a miraculous thing. In verse 18, so Samuel called unto Yahuwah, and Yahuwah sent thunder and rain that day, and all the people greatly feared Yahuwah and Samuel. And all the people said unto Samuel, pray for thy servants unto Yahuwah thy Elohim, that we die not. For we have added unto all our sins this evil to ask us a king. Now they want the judge. And Samuel said unto the people, fear not, ye have done all this wickedness. Yet turn not aside from following Yahuwah, but serve Yahuwah with all your heart, and turn ye not aside. For then should ye go after vain things which cannot profit nor deliver, for they are vain. For Yahuwah will not forsake his people for his great name's sake. Hallelujah. Because it hath pleased Yahuwah to make you his people. Always remember that even though Yah gives us free will that we might make our own decisions, he does not give us the liberty of choosing our consequences. You know, you can choose what you want to do, but you can't choose the result of what you did. That's all I have for you today. Pray with a blessing.